Close the doors of your mind. Close the gates of your mind. Close the gates of your palace, your ba'ith, your ahal, your mishkan, your mikdash. And bring your mind to center. Bring your mind to balance within yourself, within your 12 cranial nerves, within your 12 melanin centers, with your yad and your kaf and your regal that control how you move and how you think and what you do. For today is a day of freedom. Today is a day of warning. Today is a day that Yahuwah has given to us as another day, as a gift, that we may understand how to walk in righteousness and understand how to walk in truth and to understand his voice and not our own voice, and not our own ways and our own thoughts and our own understanding, not our own way we think how our body and our composition should be, but according to how he thinks and how he prescribed one to live. For today we acknowledge the one who made all the har of the earth, all in the har of the earth, all the rivers and streams of the earth, under the earth, on the surface, and even the rakia, even the river that flowed, and the har that flows from his throne, from the shimmering lights that allows one to understand within their inner man and their inner being how to live according to Yahuwah Elohim, who's great in compassion, forgiving sins, transgressions, and iniquity. But he will in no wise clear the guilty man, woman, or child. For this is the gate to Yahuwah. This is the gate to life and good works to the city of salvation. Right, so this is the book of Psalms, Tahalim, the book of Psalms 109 and 1. The book of Psalms 109 and 1. Right? Be not silent, O Elohim, my praise, right? Because that's whom you praise, right? Going to Psalm 51. Coming back there, Psalms 51. I don't have nothing written. No, this is Psalms 51 and 1. Actually, Psalm chapter 50. Psalms chapter 50 and verse 13. Going to, verse 10. For every beast of the forest is mine, the cattle on 1,000 hills. So Yahuwah owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. And it also says, I know all the birds of the hills. I know all of the oath. And he says, and all that moves is mine. So everything you see is not yours. Even your house, even the things you have, your land, all the things you own, your ledger, all the things you own, all the things you may have acquired, your stock portfolio, the things you own. He said, none of that stuff is yours. Yahuwah said, I know all the birds, I know all the cattle, I know all the things that you want to consume. I know every single thought and what you're going to do in the next couple hours. And he says, for every beast of the forest is mine, the cattle on 1,000 hills. I know all the birds of the hills. Do you? No, you don't know. You don't know. The only thing you know is gossip, slander, hatred, jealousy, envy, strife, complaining, pride. The only thing you know is how to hide from your own sin. The only thing you know how to do is how to hide behind things and technology. That's all you know how to do. But it says, for every beast of the forest is mine, the cattle on 1,000 hills. I know all the birds of the hills, and all that moves in the field is mine. And you think you own something? He owns all things on the earth, from this where you sit and where you stand, all the way across to the other side of the world. You're just a human being, one. And it says, if I were hungry, I would not tell you. If I wanted something to borrow spoken by your mouth, I would not tell you. He said, I'm not telling you. You know why? He says, for the world and its fullness are mine. He said, well, I need to hear something from you. Who know the mind of Yahuwah that you may instruct him? He said, well, I don't need nothing from you. And get what he says? Do I eat the flesh of bulls and drink the blood of goats? Do I operate in sin offerings? Do I eat that stuff? You know, man eats it. You know, human beings do, but Yahuwah said, I don't eat it. You know what he says? Offer to Elohim a sacrifice of thanksgiving, right? You know what thanksgiving is? That's like Aydah, right? That's praise. And perform your vows to the Most High. Why would he say that? Going to verse 19. You give your mouth free rein for evil, and your tongue frames deceit, the words that you speak. You sit and speak against your brother or sister, you slander your own mother's sons. Why? Because Jerusalem above is free and it's the mother of us all. Say you slander your own mother's son. You might well go to your own mother. And guess what? And just go slander him all on YouTube, Instagram. Go to your brother and do that to him. You might as well go to your own brother, your biological brother, and go slander and gossip about him on YouTube, Instagram. You might as well just put him out there and say all the sins that he commit while in your house as you his sister, or you as her. You go out and slander your sister just like she your brother, right? Tell your brother to go slander and say all the sins you do in your house. Your natural biological brother, what you did from birth to present. No, you're not going to do that. But it says, you slander your own mother's son. These things you have done, and I have been silent. You know, people say, he said, I've been silent. He said, I've been real quiet. He said, I've been really quiet. That's how Yahuwah is. Because nobody going to go on YouTube, Instagram, all these places and talk about the man that raped them when they were young. They ain't going to talk about that uncle that raped them, and they ain't going to put them on YouTube. They're not going to talk about the women. They're going to talk about all the man who stole her virginity and put her away. They're not going to put that on YouTube. They're not going to put that on YouTube. They're not going to put. They're going to put their own family member out who done. He said who locked you in the bathroom and you couldn't leave, and you had to do some things to get out. You're not going to put that on YouTube. But you see, when you become day, you know how many days I've been here. How many days I've been on earth? About 13,000 days, right? And you be day 12,200, and then you want to go. Then you know what they do to people who, you know, some people have been here what longer, 16,000 days, but then they day 12,200, and then you know what they do? They come in your life day 12,200, and then now they want to put you out here as if you're the most evilest person in the world. But then you got people that you done some wicked things to, and you got some other people you've done some evil things to that you can't even say, and you won't even say. Isn't that something? One grows up, fornicates, commits adultery, sleeps around, has their virginity taken, running around, doing all these things, lying, swindling, extortion, robbery, before day 12,200. But yet, when you get to day 12,200, everybody evil except you and all the people that did all those things to you. You know what? These type of people I look at. When you look at those type of people, they are afraid of their past. They are afraid to put those people on blast, but they quick to put you on blast. Right? You gotta look at yourself. People say, "Yeah, you gotta look at yourself." You sit and speak against your brother. You slander your own mother's son. These things you have done, and I have been silent. You thought I was one like yourself. You thought I do that type stuff. You actually thought that I do that type of stuff you do. You think I do that stuff you do at the gym? You think I do that stuff you do on the beach? You think I do that stuff that you do? You would say, I don't do that. Matter of fact, you think I do that stuff you do on YouTube? You would say, I don't do that. But everybody does it though. You know why they do it? Because they got so much evil raw in their heart and they full of pride. Because you know why? Because it protects them. You know, lying is like protection. You think about lying. Lying it protects you. Pride protects you. Slander protects you. Because it's all about you. Gossip protects you. Rumors protect you. The narrative that's created by you, it protects you. It don't protect nobody else but you. But when you say, you put it out there, what you do, then guess what? There is no protection anymore. You get to get all of the arrows and darts and the swords from other people. It's just like a person who confessed their sins alive. Like somebody just confessed their sins. You're going to get all of the people saying all these things about you to your face. And that's how they really feel about you. But yet alone, they got their own stuff they hide from other people. They got their own life, right? Says, these things you have done, and I have been silent. You thought I was one like yourself. You would say, you thought I was like you. But now I rebuke you. Atukah. He said, I rebuke you and lay charge before you. What's the charge? Mark this, you who forget Elohim. Oh. He said, mark it. Mark it in your life. What do you mean forget? you who forget Elohim, lest I tear you apart, and there be none to deliver. Why would he say that? The one who offers thanksgiving as his sacrifice kabodes me. So the person that you're slandering and gossiping and lying about, the person that you're creating this narrative about, is praising Yahuwah. And you slandering your own mother's son. Go slander your family member. Go slander your mother, your father. Put their business out on YouTube, Instagram. Go do it. Go slander your brother and your sister, your biological brother and sister, all the sins they did in their life. And you've seen some of them too. But you won't do it. He said you only do it to strangers. People that don't really know you. You know, he said, you know, people use these, you know, these fictitious names, right? These stage names. He said, well, when you take that stage name off, you ain't nobody. Right? But guess what he says? To the one who orders his way rightly, I will show the salvation of Elohim. He said, I'm going to show it to you. So if Yahuwah show me or show somebody the salvation of Yahuwah, who is Yahushua Mashiach, in the Torah, according to how it's written, he must have his way ordered rightly. Right, going to Bereshit chapter 1. Bereshit, Genesis chapter 1 and verse 26. Bereshit, Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. Then Elohim said, let us make Adam in our damuth, in our likeness, Salim, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the Shamayim, and over the livestock, and over all the adats, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the adat. So have you done that yet? Have you done that? But Yahuwah said, I know all of them. I know them all. I know them on 1,000. I know them a cattle on 1,000 hills. He said, I know them all, because he a master shepherd. Because he a master shepherd. He said, I know them all by name. I know them all. I made the whole rods. You didn't. Only thing you made was that little thing you had. Some people only made a child. And he said, you made a child, made one child. And that's it. That's all they can take. I can't take no more. Then they destroy their family for generations. Some people can't take it. Some people can only be fruitful one time. I only can be fruitful one time. And the tree, guess what? It yielded fruit, and that's it. So Elohim created man in his own image, right? So if Yahuwah made you in his image and likeness, in the image of Elohim, he created him, male and female, Zakar Nakabah. So when you look at male, that word is Zakar. It means remember. Mark this, you who forget Elohim, because you forgot about the beginning. You forgot about when he made all things. That's why you slander, gossip, lie. That's why you create narratives. That's why you got Aydah Gilul in your heart. You got a log in your own eye. He said the log is in your own eye. Why? Because you don't even know it is. But I'm going to show you. And it says, and Elohim barak them, and Elohim said to them, be fruitful and multiply. Oh, I can't take it. I only can be fruitful one time. 1 year. I have an abortion because I'm going to have an abortion because the man that I married, the man that I want to be with, he's married already, and I just went and pulled him away from his wife, and I got pregnant, and now I have to get an abortion because he don't want his other wife to know. And I'm going to be by the beach with him too. Right? That's what people do. You know why people do that? Because their own sin will catch you up to you. It's just like any other thing. Right? You look at all these things that people do. And then what do these people do later on in life? Say they did that in day 5,000 of your life. And then they come into your life, day 13,000. And then they dump all that on you. They start dumping all their sin on you. They start dumping all their shortcomings on you. Right? You look at that. Man, there's so many stories you hear. You can go, there's so many stories that people do, so many evil things in the world, raw things they do to each other. And nobody really thinks about what they do. Nobody really thinks about cognitively, okay, long term, how is this going to affect that person long term? They don't think about that. They think short term. Why? Because they're in a rush. You think short term. If you don't think long term, you're going to think short term. You only about short term gains, right? When long term, you don't think about long term gains. Right, this is the book of, so it says, and Elohim baraked them, and Elohim said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill and subdue it. So the only way you're going to be barak is to remember. The only way you're going to be barak is to have dominion. And then the only way you're going to subdue anything unless Yahuwah barak you. If you don't barak you, you're not going to subdue anything. You're not going to be fruitful and multiply. You're not going to have any children. Why? Because you're envying, you got jealousy, you got hatred, you got strife, you got complaining, you got pride, you got mumbling, grumbling, you ain't got no patience, you ain't got no ainu, you ain't got no meekness, you ain't got no sanah. You don't have none of this in your heart. Why would Yahuwah let you, people say, these are the type of behaviors you don't want to be bringing into no household. These are the type of behaviors you don't want to bring into nobody's life who don't do those things. You're going to send that person in erratic behavior. But it said, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it. And have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the Shamayim and over every living thing that moves on the earth. So that's everything. And Elohim said, behold, I have given every green plant that yielding seed that is on the face of the earth, that's on the face of the earth, and every tree with seed in its fruit. That's what he's given. And you shall have them for food. Your akla, right? That's what he said. But let's go to Hosea, chapter 4 and verse 1. Hosea, chapter 4 and verse 1. Hosea, chapter 4, verse 1. Hear the word of Yahuwah, O children of Yasharal. That's both male and female and child. It says, for Yahuwah has a controversy with the inhabitants of the land. So when Yahuwah has a controversy with you, I'm sure he's going to let you know. And go what it says, there is no faithfulness or steadfast love. Aha. There is none. There is none. He said you can fictitious, you can make it up in your mind how you think it should be, or how it should look, or how it should be said, but there is none. The love of many have waxed cold. There is no love. Aha. Because if there was a love in Ahab, there wouldn't be no slander, gossip, hatred, jealousy, envy, strife, complaining, pride, arrogance. There wouldn't be none of this fighting and quarreling and all these things and these lying and rumors and lies. There wouldn't be none of that because there ain't no love. You may say, people say, man, there is a lot of love. In my place, there is a lot of love. And it says, there is no faithfulness or steadfast love, and no knowledge of Elohim in the land. He said, ain't no knowledge, no bina hamada'ah. Why would he say that? There is swearing and lying, right? People make false vows, false oaths. People make false oaths. They make a vow to, how you say, be betrothed or married, and then they break it. And then they come back, I want to bring it back again. And then you say, like, you just broke the vow. But he said what it's called manipulation. You just broke the vow. You broke it. You swear, you lying, you're a liar. You're a murderer. And then you murder your brother. You murderer. You put out false reports, false accusations. You murder your brother and your sister after you make the vow. So you falsely swear the vow to not say anything, to not do anything that's hurtful to the individual. Then you lie. And you tell other people lies, which now you got another sin. That's 3 sins. Then you murder. Then you slander and gossip and murder. Then you get other people throwing javelins and swords at that person. Then you start stealing. You steal people's stuff. Right? Then you start stealing people's stuff. And then you steal things and you don't return it back. And committing adultery. All at the same time. He says, hear the word of Yahuwah, O children of Yasharal. So he's talking to you. For the Yahuwah has a controversy with the inhabitants of the land. He got a real controversy. There is no faithfulness or steadfast love and no knowledge of Elohim in the land. You know how people say ain't no love? It sure ain't. You know, when people say ain't no love, understand. and no knowledge of Elohim in the land. That's the reason why. There is swearing, lying, murder, stealing, and committing adultery in the land, in your community, in your Aydah, in your household, in your heart, in your innermost parts, in your where you meet with Yahuwah at, in your mind, in your frontal lobe, in your yard, in your cough. Your hands are dirty, your feet are dirty, your fingerprints are exposed. They break all bounds, and bloodshed follows bloodshed. He said, man, it follows all bloodshed. It do. It do. He said, your hands, your yard, and your coffee ain't clean. You know how we say, do I eat the flesh of bulls and goats? Man, you got so much bloodshed. Therefore, the land mourns. Why do you think they say Yahusha was a man acquainted with grief, a man of sorrows acquainted with grief? Why? Because of all the stuff you do. And all dwell in it languish, and also the beasts of the field, I know them all by name. The birds of the Shamayim, I know all the birds on the hills. I know them all by name. And even the fish of the sea are taken away. They what? They all taken away. Because you're supposed to have authority and dominion over them. So why are you letting them be taken away? Why are you allowing these things to be taken away? Because you're supposed to remember these things. Zakar. But it seems you forgot. But let's see what's clogging up your mind. Yet let no one contend, and let none accuse. From with you is my contention, O priests. O priest. Kahan. Why is he upset with the priest? Why he upset with Kahan? Because you know the Kahan during this time was Louis. Why he upset with them? Levi. Luite. You shall stumble by day, the Nabi also shall stumble with you by night. Why? Why? Why is everybody stumbling? Why is everybody stumbling over each other? And I will destroy your mother. Why? Here, you speaking as your brother, you slander your own mother's son. People think slander feels great. Somebody's saying things about you to ruin your reputation just so that you, in other people's face, just so that you can look a certain way. Right? So my ministry can grow, my credibility can grow, my understanding can grow, so I can look a certain way like I'm this person. But in actuality, he say, no, you're just an individual person who just don't understand how evil you are. That's the only thing. You just don't know how evil you are. And get what it says. Because you have rejected knowledge, be not. You rejected da'at. You rejected chakma. Get what it says, going up to verse 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. That's it. That's the only reason you're going to be destroyed. Because you don't know. Da'at. And it says, because you have rejected knowledge, da'at, I reject you from being kahan to me. You know what type of kahan? You know why he's going to reject you? Because they're swearing, lying, murder, stealing, and committing adultery. So he's going to reject you. Why? And since you have forgotten the Turah of your Elohim, you're supposed to remember Zakar. Or all the birds and the beasts and the fish of the sea are going to be taken away. And since you have forgotten the law of your Elohim, I will also forget your children. He cut off your food supply. Then he said you destroy for lack of knowledge, because that's what y'all eat. He said the land you eat the land mourns because it ain't gonna yield you any fruit. Then all your beasts and your birds and your fish that you eat is gone too. Why do you think Shaul said some eat herbs, some people eat all things? Let every man be persuaded in his own mind. But at the same time, your destruction will come. Your destruction will come. But guess what it says? And since you have forgotten the law, the Turah of your Elohim, I will also forget your children. So please don't be thinking you lying, murder, stealing, committing adultery, that Yahuwah going to remember your children, your children. He going to remember them. He going to visit the iniquity that you do upon your children's children's children. Some of the very same things that you suffer, the things that's taken away from you, is just payment. Like some people be like, oh man, I had a child and then my Isha, my wife, just took the child and just left. Well, guess what? That's just payment for somebody in your lineage that never got paid for that time that you did. They did something. They just paying it with you. That's just payment. Eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. They're just payment to you. And you got to accept your payment. Because you got to bear the debt of it. And you'll find yourself repeating the same patterns that they had to and you have to bear it with Yahushua Mashiach. There's a difference doing it. There's a difference of doing it without them, but you got to bear it because that's their sin. And you got to bear their sin. That's the only reason Yahushua came. So you can bear the sin of your fathers and your grandfathers. So you can, when Yahuwah visit iniquity on the children's children and on you, you can bear it because of Yahushua Mashiach and you accepted him. Because some people can't. Some people can't. That's why some people ain't here today. Right? And since you have forgotten the law of your Elohim, I also will forget your children. Right? The more they increase, the more they sinned against me. So please don't think because you're increasing. Don't believe you ain't sinning. Because the more you increase, the more you sin. Just like the Psalm of Solomon said. He said he gave it to you gradually. He gave you all at once, you're going to sin. He said you're going to sin. Guess what it says? I will charge their kabod into shame. I will change their kabod into shame. That's the whole point of this. He said, I'm going to change it into shame. But so what is he doing that for? Because sometimes shame is good. Why? Because sometimes the shame that you bear ain't your shame. It's somebody else's shame. They feed on the sin of my people. That's what you're feeding on. Who is they? He said, you feeding on, you Nephilim. Or you are Nephilim. They are greedy for their iniquity. Because you know why they say they feed on it? Because they love. Because when they hear about it, they eat it up. They just swallow it up. When they hear about it, they swallow it up. You know what they getting ready to do? With your iniquity, with your sin, they get ready to what? Slander you. Gossip about you. They get ready to talk about you. And you know what else they're going to do? But guess who's going to do it? Verse 9. And it shall be like people, like priests. And I punish them in their ways and repay them for their deeds. Because you like good deeds. Not evil deeds. They say they love eating that iniquity and that sin. Do I eat the flesh of bulls and goats? You love that iniquity and that sin. See, Yahuwah don't eat that. Yahuwah don't eat that stuff. You all do though. You priest. Yahuwah like, what you eating that for? Adultery, stealing, fornication, lying, swindling, robberies. Right? All these things that people do. He said, what you eating it for? Oh, you like eating that sin stuff. Sin. You like eating iniquity. You like eating people's sin. I know you do. But Yahuwah said, I don't eat. He said, do I eat the flesh of bulls and goats? I don't eat that stuff. That's what y'all eat. Have fun. Have a great time. Guess what it says? And it shall be like people, like priests. I will punish them for their ways and repay them for their deeds. They shall eat, but not be satisfied. You say, all that sin you're going to be eating, all that stuff you've been eating, you've been gobbling it up. And you be saying, ha, ha, ha. Yeah, they're having a great time. You're having a real good time. But he says, they shall eat, but not be satisfied. You'll never be satisfied with it. Somebody else do something, you ain't going to be satisfied with theirs. Somebody else do something, you ain't going to be satisfied with theirs. Somebody eat something, you're going to be satisfied with theirs. That's all you want. That's all you desire. You know, some people are good at finding out other things about other people, but then when they look at themselves, they say, I can't do that about myself, though. Right? And it says, they shall eat, but not be satisfied. They shall play the whore, but not multiply. He said, you're going to sleep around. You don't wonder why people be sleeping around. He said, you ain't never going to multiply. You ain't going to be fruitful and multiply, because you got to remember that. Because Yahuwah barak them. So if Yahuwah ain't allow you to be fruitful and multiply, it's because he ain't baraked you. Because they have forsaken Yahuwah. That's the whole point. Because you forsook Yahuwah. It says to cherish whoredom. That's what they do. Because you love whoredom, and you love and wine, because you get drunk, and new wine. You just drunk. Just a bunch of drinking men and women. Why? How do we know this? Because you know what happens when you do all that? Wine and women, right? That's what people love. That's what people love. And let me show you why you love that wine and those women. Because that's what some people do. Let me show you, priests. Let me show you why. Right? So this is the book of Sirach. This is the book of Sirach. Where we at? This book of Sirach, chapter 19. Book of Sirach, chapter 19. Book of Sirach, chapter 19, and verse 1. The book of Sirach, chapter 19, and verse 1. It says, a laboring man is a given to drunkenness. Oh, okay. A laboring man is a given to drunkenness, shall not be rich. That's what he said, you ain't never going to be rich. And he that contemneth small things shall fall by little and little. He said, little specks. You know, you love eating that little speck, that little iniquity, right? He said, contemneth small things shall fall by little and little. But guess what? Wine and women will make men's understanding fall away. That's what falling away is. People say, what's falling away? Wine and women will make men of understanding have what? Binah, fall away. And he that cleaveth to harlots will become impotent, worthless. Why would you do that? But you know what they do? You know what these priests do? They be trying to make you cleave to a harlot. Yes, they do. He said, why they try to make you cleave to a harlot? Because they love seeing sin and iniquity. They love seeing you, and they want to see you in sin and iniquity, so they'll make you cleave to a harlot. They'll make you cleave to a harlot. Because they love sin. They love to eat up sin. They love iniquity. That's why they do it. Because they know they ain't person they're going to be able to multiply. That's why they do it. Because they like to eat it up. What do people do at banquets? Imagine a banquet of sin and iniquity, and wine and harlots. And they try to make you cleave to a harlot. That's the person they suggest to you. Hey, there you go. Get you a nice little harlot. Because they got that wine around it, getting drunk. But you know what happens after that? Wine and women will make men of understanding, fall away. And then they start to slander and gossip and do all these things. And then they have a rivalry with you. And then they have all the works of the flesh. And they're envious and jealous of you. And you know what happens after that? And he that cleaveth the harlots will become worthless. Moth and worms shall have him to heritage. God, they're going to eat up everything you have. Because they love sin and iniquity. They love sin and iniquity. And a bold man shall be taken away. Right? But guess what? Verse 4 says, he that is hasty to give credit is light-minded. And he that sinneth shall offend against his own soul. See, it ain't going to be nothing to do with them priests that love iniquity, like to see you in sin, who love to eat up your sin and iniquity and slander and gossip about you. It ain't them that's going to affect. It's not them who is going to affect when they set you up, when they put you with a harlot and when they make you a cleave and make you fall away from Yahuwah. It's not them that's going to be affected. It's going to be you, your own soul. It's going to be you. When they set you up with a man, they know good and well that man, he says he's a whoremonger. And you know what happens after that? It's going to fall on your own soul because that person has to get punished for all the things that they've done in their lives. They do. They do. Because sometimes, people say, why am I alone? Why am I this? Sometimes it just be the sins of your father and your father and your grandfather falls on you. And sometimes it just be your own sin because of the things that your mother and your father did, they just falling on you. And then Satan just waiting on you. He just waiting. He's just looking and watching. That's what he does. Whoso taketh pleasure in wickedness shall be condemned. Them priests, them Qahalath love iniquity and sin. They love eating that. But guess what you already are? You're condemned. You love that iniquity and sin. And guess what? But he that resisteth pleasure crowneth his life. And he said, man, you receive a crown of life when you resist that stuff. When people try to suggest it to you. Why? Because it's a part of this whole thing. In Yasharal and Yehuda. They say, man, it's talking about the world. No, because you are the world. Because you just like them. How do you know this? Right? Going to verse 6. This is in the same book. He that can rule his tongue shall live without strife. So you got some people can't really rule their tongue. That's why they got so much strife. They say so much negative stuff out of their mouth. Say things about people they don't even know. Slandering and gossiping and lying and creating stories and rumors. And then you just adding sin on top of sin. Because you ain't got no control over your own tongue. And guess what? And he that hateth babbling shall have less evil. He said you have less. But you ain't going to have more. Right? Going back to Hosea, chapter 4, and verse 10. They eat, but they shall not be satisfied. They play the whore, but not multiply, because they have forsaken Yahuwah to cherish whoredom, wine, and new wine, which take away bina, understanding. Because wine and women make men of understanding fall away. Why is this important? Right, this Odes of Solomon, Odi Ish Shaloma, Odes of Solomon, going to Odes of Solomon chapter 13 and verse 1. Behold, Yahuwah is our mirror. He said, what mirror are you looking in? He said, you must be looking in somebody else's mirror. Mirror, mirror on the wall, right? You immediately forget what manner, image, and likeness you're supposed to be on. Because for some reason you like to eat iniquity and sin. You love that stuff. He said, man, you don't fall away. You know what he says? Behold, Yahuwah is our mirror. Who are you looking at? Are you like the daughters of Solomon? What you looking at? He going to take away your mirrors. Why? Because you're supposed to be looking at him. Because Yahuwah is your mirror. Why? Because that's what Yahuwah is, right? This is the book of Exodus. We're looking at book of Exodus, Shemut, chapter 34. Exodus, chapter 34, in verse 6. It says, and Yahuwah passed before him and proclaimed, Yahuwah, Yahuwah, Elohim, merciful and gracious, slow to anger, abounding in steadfast love and faithfulness, keeping steadfast love for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin, but who by no means clear the guilty. He don't care if you're a Kahan, priest, moreh, pastor, teacher, whatever you want to call yourself. I've been doing it for 30 years, 20 years, 11 years on YouTube, 15 years on YouTube. I've been doing it since I was young. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are. And guess what it says? Visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children and the children's children to the third and fourth generation. And Mashah quickly bowed his head toward the Aydahchay and worshiped. And he said, if I have found favor in your sight, so how you got to bow down, because you know why? Because a lot of men and women can't bow down. They can't bow down. You know why? And get what it says. In the midst of us, you know what it says? Let Yahuwah, he says, if now I have found favor in your sight, O Yahuwah, please let Yahuwah, let the master, he says, let Yahuwah go in the midst of us, for it is a stiff-necked people. Very stiff-necked family, stiff-necked people. Right? They all stiff-necked. You know what else they stiff-necked in? I'm going to show you. And guess what? And pardon our iniquity and our sin, and take us for your inheritance. Why? He said, take you for an inheritance. Because you're worthless. Once you understand that you are nothing, then you understand it. Who is the greatest he said, who's the greatest? He said, because you think you're somebody. And guess what it says? Going back to ODE Shalom 13:1. Behold, Yahuwah is in our mirror. Open your eyes and see them in him. Because you can't see. Your ayin is off. Guess what he says? And learn the manner of your face, and announce praises to his ruach. He said, you sitting speaking against your brother, you slander your own mother's son. He said, these things you have done, and I have been silent. Man, he said, I've been quiet. Because, they devise evil to those who are quiet in the land. But he said, he who offers praise to me, thanksgiving to me, he said, he that offers praise is giving praise to me. He said, mark this, you who forget Yahuwah, lest I tear you apart, and there be none to deliver you. Guess what he says? And learn the manner of your face, your panim, and then announce praises into his ruach, and wipe the paint from your face, your pook from your face. So what mirror are you looking at? And he said, you like freaking frack. You got a little white paint on your face because you don't want nobody to see who you are. And get what it says? And love his Qhdsh and put it on. Because it's not Qhdsh. You think it's Qhdsh to slander? That ain't Qhdsh. You think it's Qhdsh to lie and gossip? You think it's Qhdsh to spy? You think it's Qhdsh to hack people's phones? You think it's Qhdsh to just show up and spy on people's homes? People think it's Qhdsh. I'm spying and I have covetous in my heart. It's Qhdsh. I'm a hire a private investigator and find out where they are and hack their internet connection. It's Qhdsh. I mean, I know Yahuwah and Yahusha, but I'm just gonna find out everything that's wrong with it, and I'm just gonna blast it to everybody he doesn't know. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's Qhdsh. Yeah, give yourself a hand clap. Great performance. You know how people say great performance, but that's not what Yahuwah wanted. That ain't what he wanted. It says, and wipe the paint from your face and love his Qhdsh and put it on. Then you will be unblemished at all times with him, because you are not. You are blemished. That's the only way. Yahuwah has to be your member. You are blemished. You got blemishes on your face. Amazing when people remove all that paint on their face. Guess what you see? All the blemishes on their face. You see all the things about them that they've been hiding from other people. Right? You get to see all the blemishes. It's like a man who sleeps with a virgin on a wedding night and then finds out she's not a virgin. You take all the paint, you take all the things off, and then guess what? Now you see. You got blemishes. He said, you liar. Right? And then you got to deal with the fact that you're a liar. Then you got to deal with the fact that the person know you're a liar. Then you got to deal with your father. Then you got to deal with the shame of your family. Then you got to deal with everybody else. That's a tough pill to swallow. Then you got to deal with all the other stuff that you got to deal with. He said, do you want to go through that? He said, no, then stay pure then. I say, stay pure in yourself. Because that's the whole point. But what's the whole point of this? Right? Go in the book of, if you look at all that, You look at all that and then you say, man, what is this got to do with anything, right? So this is the book of, this is the book of Exodus. The book of Exodus, right? It's a book of Levi. Yeah, let's go to the book of Leviticus. The book of Leviticus, chapter 8. Leviticus chapter 8 and verse 5. Leviticus chapter 8, verse 5. And Mashah says to the congregation, this is the thing that Yahuwah has commanded to be done. And Mashah brought Aharon and his sons and washed them with water. He said he cleansed them with water. Yahuwah told you, come unto me all that are heavy laden, I'll give you rest. Take my yoke upon me and learn from me, for I'm meek and lowly, you'll find rest for your souls. But he also said, see how I open a window of Shammai and pour you out of Barak, you have no room enough to receive. He washed them with water, and he put the coat on him, and tied the sash around his waist, and clothed him with the robe, and put the ephod on him, and tied skillfully woven bands of the ephod around him, binding it onto him with the band. And he placed the breastplate on him. And in the breastpiece, he put the Urim and the Thummim. So he put all these clothes on, right? He decked them out, right? And he set the turban on his head. Man, he put a turban on his head too. Man. Ooh. Well, he looking in the mirror. You know the mirror? The mirror is Yahuwah, right? And you get what he said. And on the turban in front, he set a gold plate. He put a golden plate, man. He put a gold plate. He said, you put a gold plate on your head. The crown, he said, the Qhdsh crown, and Yahuwah, as Yahuwah commanded Mashah. He said, man, you put a crown on your head with a plate, with a turban. And that's what you did. He put a plate in the turban. But what did he say? What did he say next? He says, then Mashah took the anointing oil and anointed the tabernacle and all that was in it, and consecrated them. And he sprinkled some of it on the altar 7 times. He said 7 times, and anointed the altar and all its utensils and the basins it stands to consecrate them. He did all that. And guess what? And he poured out some of the anointing oil on Aharon's head and anointed him to consecrate him. So he did all of that. He put that golden plate in his forehead. And why is this important? Because all this is important. People say that's not important. Yeah, it is. Because everything Yahuwah does is important. Everything he does. Everything he does, right? So why he did that? Right? People say, why he did that? Right, so this is the book of, where we going? Exodus chapter 39. Shemuth Exodus chapter 39 and verse 27. Shemuth Exodus chapter 29 and verse 39 and 27. They also made the coats woven of fine linen for Aharon and his sons, and the turban of fine linen, and the caps of fine linen, and the linen undergarments for fine twined linen, and the sashes and the fine twined linen, and the blue and the purple and the scarlet yarns. But he got all the clothes. They got rich. They got all of the outward appearance. It looks good too. It makes you look good. But he said, when you love iniquity and sin, you like to swallow that up, and you like to eat it. And you like to take it and you like to ingest it and you slander and gossip and lie and create narrative and rumors and lie on people, then what good is all them garments? He said, I guess you don't know what mirror you're supposed to be looking at. And guess what it says? And the turban of fine linen, and the caps of fine linen, and the linen undergarments of fine twined linen, and the sash of fine twined linen, and of the blue and the purple and the scarlet yarns, embroidered with the needlework, as Yahuwah had commanded Mashah. He's like, man, y'all look good. But guess what? They made the plate of the Qhdsh crown. We just read in OD Shumi, he says, love Qahalath and put it on. And that's what they're doing right here, right? They putting all this stuff on, right? Let's see if they put Qahalath. And of pure gold, and wrote on its inscription like the engraving of a signet. Ooh, he put it on there. Qahalath to Yahuwah. We just read it, old Solomon. He said, love your Qahalath and put it on. Qahalath to Yahuwah. That's what he said, right? And they tied to it a cord of blue to fasten it on the turban above. Man, that thing looked good. As Yahuwah commanded Moshe. Thus all the work of the tabernacle and of the tent meeting was finished. And the people of Yasharal did according to all Yahuwah had commanded Moshe, so they did. So they did. Yeah, some people do that. But you think all that outward appearance, you think all that stuff make you Qahalath? You think that stuff make you who you are? You think all that on the outer man, people think all that makes them who they are. Because it don't. Right, this book of Ezekiel. This book of Yakaziel, Ezekiel chapter 19 and verse 1. Ezekiel chapter 19 verse 1. Let me get there. Actually go to Ezekiel chapter 14 and verse 1. Ezekiel chapter 14, Yakaziel chapter 14 verse 1. And it says, then certain of the elders of Yasharal came to me. He said they came, right? And sat before me. He said he sat down. Because you sit and speak against your brother, you slander your own mother's son. And the word of Yahuwah came to me. And the bar of Yahuwah came to me. Son of Adam, these men have taken their idols in their heart. He said they taking their idols in their heart. He said you put it in your inward parts. The parts that you can't see. The parts that you can't see. He said you like hiding your sin in your heart. He said why you like hiding your sin in your heart? Because you can't see it. And if you can conceal it from somebody, what happens? You can use it against somebody. Why? Because if you got idols in your heart, that means you love to swallow up the sacrifices. You love sin and you love iniquity. Right? But that word for idols is gilul. He said, what is a gilul? He said an idol. It is what? An idol. A log. A log. H1544. A log. He said, a log. And guess what? He said, Ezekiel 14 and 3, because wine and women make men fall away. He said, you got a log in your eye. You got a log in your eye. A gilul, an idol. And it says, son of Adam, these men have taken their idols in their hearts and set the stumbling block of their iniquity before their faces. He's like, you got a log in your eye. You get what he says? Should I indeed let myself be consulted by them? He said, why are you going to consult me? Therefore, speak to them and say to them, thus says Yahuwah Elohim, anyone of the house of Yasharal who's taken his idols into his heart, his or her heart, and sets a stumbling block of his iniquity before his face, and yet comes to the Nabi, I, Yahuwah, will answer him as he comes with the multitude of his idols, your sin, that I may lay hold of the hearts of the house of Yasharal, who are all estranged from me, from their idols. That's the whole point. You just estranged because the idols gilul you got in your heart. He said, what can be a gilul? Some people love gilul. Some people love idols. They love swallowing up iniquity. You know why? Because they can have a banquet party with it. Some people can't even go to a feast day, or what do they call these feast days? They drinking and got wine and women around and doing all these things and fornication and adultery. You know what they do? They love that stuff because you get trapped in it. It's just like any other club you go to. It's just like going to the club. Ain't no difference. It's the same thing. They get you trapped. Things happen. And guess what happens? They swallow it up. And guess what happens to you? It'll mess up your soul, not theirs. Ain't got nothing to do with them. It's going to mess your soul up, your nefesh. It ain't got nothing to do with their soul because they care less. They can care less. That's why they eat your sin and your things you do, and then they slander you all in the world. People don't even know it. But now guess what? Then they do it to you. Then guess what? But it don't affect them. It only affects you because it's your nefesh. It's your nefesh. It's your soul. It ain't their soul. They can care less. They can care less. That's how human beings have been since the time of Noah. Every imagination, Makashbar, Yetsu was evil. Every intention, device, plan, plot, everything is all evil. It's wrong. It's been like that. That's the world we live in. And once you understand that that's people, then you understand how you need to be with human beings who have these behaviors. But it says right here, he said, you're restrained by the idols, right? This is Matthew chapter 7 and verse 1. Matthew chapter 7 and verse 1. Matthew chapter 7 and verse 1. It says, Shaphat not. You mean Dan. Yahuwah has judged me. He called his name Dan. Judge not that you be not judged, as you be Dan. Right? Because she had envy and jealousy in her heart. And a lot of these men out here with these ministries got envy and jealousy in their heart because of other men. And the only reason you're doing it, just like Ecclesiastes says, he said, because of envy and jealousy, that's the only reason people take on these endeavors. And guess what? For with the judgment you pronounce, you will be judged. He said, you're going to be judged. And with the measure you measure it, it will be measured right back to you, Nakash. You know why? Why do you see the speck that is in your brother's eye? You love swallowing up a little iniquity, huh? You like that. Because you like you want to use that to slander and gossip and lie and spread rumors and create this narrative. Because when you become successful, that's what people do. They only come into your life to find something on you that make you look like a fool. That's the only reason people come into your life. Right, I was an athlete. People say, yeah, I was an athlete. You know how many investment advice I would get? People say, when you're an athlete, you get investment advice every single week from all random type people. I got this, I got a business, I got this, I got that. Some of these people, even from religious people, pastors, teachers, right? They always think they got the best advice. Here's the advice for you. Every advice ain't good for everybody. And I used to be, you be in there, you listen to everybody's advice and everything that they got to say. Because everybody think they know what's best for you. And they day 12,000 or day 11,099. They day 11,500. You don't know their 11,500 days on earth. You don't know what they've done in their life. You don't know if they got any court cases, they swindle people. You don't know if they lie. You don't know if they practice extortion. You don't even know what their life was like before they start giving you advice. You don't even know the type of life they lived. That's the same thing when it comes to this is the bar. It's the same thing. And it says, and with what measure you measure it, it will be measured to you. Why do you see the speck that is in your brother's eye, and you do not notice the log, the gilul, in your own eye? Gilul. You don't know the log in your own eye? You ever had something in your eye before? If it's big enough, you're going to feel it because it's one of the most sensitive parts of yourself. Your eyes. So he said these soft tissues. Right? That's one of them. Right? If you got self-defense, that's what you do. Right? Go for the soft tissue spot. Right? And it says right here, that is in your own eye. How can you say to your brother or sister, let me take the speck out of your eye, your iron? Why? When there is a gilul in your own eye, when your Mori got a gilul in his eye, when your pastor got a gilul in his eye, when he got an idol in his heart, and you online, you on YouTube trying to tell somebody what to do and give them some advice. When you can't even control your tongue, you got so much strife in your life, you don't even know what it's like to even be in peace and shalom. He said, the only thing I've seen, he said, what? When you came in, he said, what? 2005, YouTube came out. YouTube came out in 2005. So 2005, the only thing, when you click that thing on, when they had religious people with books and all these things, all you saw was fighting, quarreling, hatred, jealousy, envy, strife, complaining, pride, mumbling, grumbling, complaining, how much money they got to spend, how much money they got, how much money they don't got, who did this, who did what, when they doing just the same things that Yahuwah consider wickedness as everybody else. That's all you saw. Then you have the fake, humble, meek, and lowly people. But they slander, gossip, and lie. They try to make it seem like they're the best thing on earth, and they're not. These are all pretending. This is all pretending. Pretending lies that people create. It's like a big mirage. It's a mirage of smoke that they think is actually ascending to Yahuwah when it's not. Never was. It never was. And guess what it says? Or how can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye when there is a gilul in your own eye? You hypocrite. How you know Louis a hypocrite? Man, they look good on the outside. How you looked at all those things that you seen when the priests decked themselves out. He said, you look good on the outside. You look great. Give yourself a hand clap. You have the funds to make yourself look good. But guess what it says? You hypocrite, first take the log, the gilul, out of your own eye. He said, go take it out of your own eye. He said, take your own plots and your schemes and your plots, your slander, your gossip, your lying, your swindling, your extortion, your robbery, your spying, right? Your covetousness, right? Your technology spying, right? He said, take it out of your own eye. Why? First, take the gilul out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly. Then you'll be able to see clearly, because you ain't gonna have your technology in your thing where you trying to search out other people's life and trying to find things on other people. You won't have your stumbling block before your face. And guess what you'll do? Then you will see clearly. Then you'll be able to see clearly, because you're gonna be looking at that black screen on your phone all day and sucking the light out of you, the aura out of you. And now your gold plate on your forehead go from a gold plate, you go to a dark plate, then your turban start to turn, then your turban turn a different color, then you start to turn into a snake adder, Malak Rasha. Then you become just like the beings in the Rakib, in the firmament. And guess what? You see clearly to take the speck out of your brother, sister's eye. Do not give dogs with the Qhdsh, and do not throw your pearls before pigs. Why? Because it's just like you offer pigs blood. Lest they trample them underfoot and turn to attack you, right? Because they already did. Because you already attacked you. Why are they attacking you? Because that's what they do. Because they're supposed to do that. He said, why are they supposed to do that? Because that's what they do. This is what they do, right? Go in the book of this is the book of Proverbs, Mostly Proverbs, chapter 1 and verse 1. Mostly Proverbs, verse 1. It says, verse 2, to know wisdom and instruction, to understand the words of insight, to receive instructions is wise dealing, in righteousness, justice, and equity, to give prudence to the simple, knowledge and discretion to the youth. Let the wise hear and increase in learning, and let the one who understands obtain guidance. Why? To understand a mashli and a saying, the word of the wise and the riddles. The fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instructions, right? Why? Because this is all a part of it. This is all a part of it, right? So this is the book of the 12 patriarchs. This is the book of the 12 patriarchs, Testament of Levi. Chapter 6 and verse 8. Testament of Levi, chapter 4 and verse 6. Verse 8. Verse 8. Get wisdom in the fear of Elohim with diligence, right? So you got to be real diligent. For though there be a leading into captivity, and cities and lands be destroyed, because that's what we just read in the book of Husham. You know what happens? And gold and silver and every possession perish, right? Even that gold plate on your head from the priest. The wisdom of the wise, he says, the wisdom of the wise not can take away. You say, you can't take it away from me. Hakma. They can take all them outward clothes you got. They can take all those things you have. They can take your land. They can take your finances. They can take all your things you got. But Hakma never goes away. Because Yahushua told you, he said, Shamayim and earth will pass away, my debar will never pass away. Hakam will never pass away. Save, get what it says, can take away, save the blindness of ungodliness. That's the only thing that can take away wisdom. Because wine and women make men of understanding fall away. And all the things that they desire in this world. Guess what it does? And the callous that comes of sin. That's what it does. It blinds your iron. It blinds your mind. Because the God of this world blinds your mind. And guess what happens? For if one keeps oneself from these evil things, then even among his enemies shall wisdom be a glory, kabod to him. So if you keep yourself from these things, he said, even with your enemies, shall wisdom be the glory, the kabod of him, on him, to him. So it doesn't matter if I keep. He said, you keep yourself from anything wrong. He said, even among my enemies. But you know who are enemies though. You know who his enemies are? Let's see. And in a strange country, a fatherland, and in the midst of foes shall prove a friend. Whosoever teaches noble things and does them, right, shall be enthroned with kings. He said, if you do them, as was also Yusuf, my brother. But guess what? Therefore, my children, I have learnt at the end of all ages, you will transgress against Yahuwah. Why? You're going to go after your own ways, stretching out hands to wickedness against him. You lift up your hands to idols. And guess what? And to all the goyim shall ye become a scorn, a shame. Because Yahuwah make you ashamed. He said, we ain't talking about, he said, when people go on YouTube and slander you, right, who claim to believe on Yahuwah and Yahusha. No, we ain't talking about that. But guess what it says? For our father Yasharal is pure from the transgressions of the chief priests. Yeah, you know you priests who love iniquity, like to eat iniquity and sin. He said, Jacob said he's pure from y'all. Yasharal. He said he's pure from y'all. You're going to find yourself in the kingdom with Abraham, Yitzhak, and Jacob, Yasharal, and you yourself cast out. Why? Who shall lay their hands upon the Savior of the world? He said, you don't put your hand out against the Yahushua Mashiach. For as the Shamayim is pure in Yahuwah's sight than the earth, so also be ye. Because the people on the things above the Rakia is purer than the things that are below the first Shamayim. He says, so also be ye the lights of Yasharal purer than all the Goim. He said, he told Abraham, I'll multiply your seed as the star, the Kukab of Shamayim. You're supposed to be purer than them. In darkness. You're supposed to be. So when people who are light or come to you, they're supposed to be expecting pure counsel and pure advice, not a plot, a scheme, and a swindle, and extortion. Because wine and women make men fall away, and he that is joined to harlots will come to ruin. Because that's what he's expecting. Because he's light, so he's expecting you to be light. But guess what happened? in the hands of the Savior. For it says, verse 14, but if ye be darkened through transgression, ain't we in the longest night? We're in the longest night right now. What therefore will all the goyim do living in blindness? He said, what are the goyim going to do living in blindness? He said, what's the point of me? What is the point of you making up rumors and slandering and lying and stuff that the goyim hear? What's the point of you doing that? Spreading rumors and lies. You know there's the reason you're doing that for? Because Yahuwah put it in your mouth to do it. And you know why he made you do it? Because but if ye be darkened through transgression, because you are transgressing. That's the only reason. What therefore will all the goyim do living in blindness? He blinded all those people. You said a stumbling block before him. Verse 15, yea, ye shall bring a curse upon our race, because the light of the Torah, which was given for to lighten every man, this ye desire to destroy by teaching commandments contrary to the ordinance of Elohim, right? Because they're contrary. So how are you going to explain the inward man when you do things? When you look at the things in the Torah and you see how the outer man, you see what they do. But Yahuwah said, no, I'm going to put my laws in their heart and I'm going to write it in their mind. Because if they take all that stuff away, wisdom can't be taken away. Because you can take all that other stuff away, but wisdom can't be taken away. That's the value of it. That's why when they stripped Yahushua of his robe, he didn't care nothing about it. He still was walking in wisdom. Even when they struck him in the face, he's still walking in wisdom. How come? When they blindfold him and they say, nah, but you Mashiach, who hit me? He said, all my stuff was taken away. He said he was naked right in front of him. Then they dressed him up the way they thought he should be dressed up. They gave him a cross that this is the cross you're gonna carry. But not even knowing that he was carrying all their sin. Because you know the Kahanim, everybody know what's best for you. We know how to crucify you though. We know how to crucify you because we specialize in that. We love to slander, gossip, and lie, and make up lies and rumors and things and destroy people. We love to do that we hate. We love to do that. That's what these priests do, these Kahanim do. Why didn't Yahushua, he didn't answer them not a word? Because they specialize in it. You specialize in crucifying Yahushua afresh and bringing him to an open shame. You specialize in it. You specialize in it. And guess what it says? The offering of Yahuwah ye shall rob, right? That's what it says. It says, and from his portion shall ye steal choice portions, eating them contemptibly with harlots. Because he that joined the harlots comes to ruin. He said, you eating them with harlots. Zana. And out of covetousness, ye shall teach the commandments of Yahuwah. That's the only reason, through envy and jealousy. That's the only reason you even teaching the commandments of Yahuwah. Because of covetousness, because you want what other people have. That's why when you hear something, you take it and then you what? It's covetous because you want it, because it's a part of their house and you take it and you covetous. That's why you teach the commandments. It ain't got nothing to do with anything. You want to take what another man has or is trying to build to take it for yourself. That's why you teach the commandments. Because you covetous. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, their wife, their ox, thy donkey, their men servant, thy maid servant. His be not hakma da'ah. His wisdom. Why? Because you covetous. You covetous. And guess what happens? Let me show you this, right? Because they covetous. Let me show you this. Right, this is the book of Matthew. Because you covetous, right? So this is the book of Matthew. This is the book of Matthew. Matthew Yahu. Chapter 25 and verse 1. Matthew Yahu 25 and 1. Then the kingdom, the Malkuth of Shamayim will be like 10 virgins. How you say you gotta get the 10, the yard. But get what it says. Who took their lamps and went to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish and 5 were wise. Because you know wisdom can't be taken away if you keep yourself from evil. It can't. It'll keep yourself from, if you keep yourself from evil, wisdom, Hakmah, can't be taken away. For when the foolish took their lamps, they took no oil with them. He said, "You ain't take no oil because you ain't got. Because if you have real wisdom, Hakmah, my lamp ain't going out." I know people say, "But his lamp going out, his light, he ain't got no light." I assure you. He said, "I assure you, my lamp ain't going out. My manure, my near." You know what he said? They want your near. They want to put it out. But get what he said. That's what the foolish want to do. For when the foolish took their lamps, they took no oil with them. But the wise, the wise took flask of oil with their lamps. To the bridegroom, he said, and as the bridegroom delayed, they all became drowsy and slept. But at midnight there was a cry, "Here is the bridegroom. Come out to meet him." Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps. He said, "Man, we trimmed that thing, right?" And the foolish said to the wise, "Give us some of your oil, for our lamps are going out." Why? Because they covetous. Your lamp going out, now you're starting to become covetous because you didn't do anything. Now you become covetous. But the wise answered, saying, "Since there will be not enough for us and for you." Right? See, when you don't want to do nothing, and when you don't want to put the work in, and you don't want to acquire this hakmah, this wisdom, you're going to be so dependent on somebody else. And if something happens to them and their lamp go out, so does yours. So does your lamp. See, that's why people don't understand. How is this person still believing? Because when you wise, what is this person? We call him an outcast. We cast him out. Because when you wise, you understand. When you ain't wise, you have so people depending on your little oil you got. And then when your oil go out, because you start doing wicked and evil things, then they lamp go out. That's what happens. That's what happens. That's why you need to carry your own oil. That's why you need to be wise. For the days are evil. And you need to be wise. Because any one of these people that you so dependent on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all these places that you be going to, listening and doing all these things and taking their wine, what if they start doing wickedness and their light go out? And their lamp go out? What about yours? And you so dependent on them. Something to think about, right? But the wise answered, saying, "Since there will be not enough for us and for you, right? Go rather to the dealers and buy for yourselves." He's like, go do it by yourself. You. And while they were going to buy, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready went in with him to the marriage feast, and the doors were shut. You better go hurry up. Right? Right? Stop depending on other people. Why? Because if you keep doing that, you're gonna find yourself in a serious situation. Right? This is the book of Sirach. Or going back to the Testament of Levi. Testament of Levi, chapter 6, chapter VI, it's 6, right? And it says, going to verse 14. But if you be darkened through transgression, what therefore will all the Goyim do living in blindness? Why? Because your lamp done went out. Your lamp done went out. Our lamps are going out, right? Yea, ye shall bring a curse upon our race, because the light of the Torah, which was given for to lighten every man, this ye desire to destroy by the teaching the commandments contrary to the ordinance of Elohim. Why would you teach opposite of menorah? In the 7 near, in the 7 in almonds. Why would you teach opposite of that? In the 7 eyes, on this stone, 7 eyes, and the iron Ishalapi. Why would you teach opposite of that? Because if your lamp go out, other people's lamp won't go out. Because they so dependent on you, right? But it says, yea, it says, It says, yea, you shall bring a curse upon our race, because the light of the Torah, which was given for to lighten every man, this ye desire to destroy by teaching commandments contrary to the ordinance of Elohim. Why? Because you know why? He says, verse 16, the offering of Yahuwah ye shall rob, because your lamp don't went out. And from his portion ye shall steal, because your lamp don't went out. Choice portions, eating them contemptuously with harlots. So what's the point of you gathering all that money in, gathering your donations? He say shekel, one big shekel, shekel great and shekel small. No one gives over, right? And all these things that people put all their money in there, anything. And guess what? You eating contemptuously with harlots. He said you using it for your own personal gain. What good is that? Or you using it contentially to be with other men with men. Or women with women. All this stuff that people do. Verse 17. And out of covetousness ye shall teach the commandments of Yahuwah. Why? Covetousness. Why? Because that's the only reason you're teaching it. Because you covetous of other people's oil. You covetous of what other people have. Wedded women ye shall pollute. You're going to commit adultery. Because that's what we just read. He said it's going to be, because there's adultery, lying. He said, wedded women you shall pollute, and you're going to do it, and you're not even going to care. You ain't going to have no remorse. You ain't going to hit the ground. You're not even going to repent. You don't even care. If a man steal your wife, what you get? You a weak man. What kind of foolishness is that? See, Yahuwah be listening to people's voice. People be like, man, Yahuwah be listening. Yahuwah be listening. And they be thinking like they good. And Yahuwah be looking at you like, man, they lamp don't went out. He said, wedded women they shall pollute, and the virgins of Jerusalem they shall defile. That's why I talked about earlier how nobody gonna put those people out who stole your virginity and cast you away. You ain't gonna talk about them though. But you'll talk about day 12,500 though. He said, you ain't gonna put their name on YouTube and Instagram and spread rumors and send emails and do all these things to other people. You ain't gonna do that though. You ain't going to talk about the person who raped you when you were young. You ain't going to put that person on blast. The one that caused all your trauma and all your mental diseases, you ain't going to do that. And all those soul ties, those sexual soul ties, you ain't going to put them on blast though. But as soon as somebody, he said, you come to a righteous man, you come to a righteous woman, you want to start saying stuff and doing stuff because of your wicked life and your wicked past. But yet when you ain't going to put them on blast though. He said, you hypocrite. And with harlots and adulterers, he says, and the virgins of the Jerusalem you shall defile, and with harlots and adulterers shall ye be joined. And you know what they say? They want to offer you an adulterous woman and a harlot to marry. He said, now harlots and adulterers ye shall be joined. And guess what? And the daughters of the Goyim shall ye take to wife. That's what these Kahan and Kahanim do. They say they matchmaker male and female. That's what they do. He said when you're a pretender, that's what happens. When Yahuwah blind your mind, that's what happens. What you gonna say? Yahuwah, why did you blind my mind? Why did you make us go from your ways? You know why he did that? So he can get the other people who was slandering and did all the other things to you. That's the only reason he did it. So I can get them. He said, that's the reason why I did it to you. So I can get those people that I had something against. That's why I did it. I had an occasion against those Kahanim, those priests. I had an occasion against that pastor. I had an occasion against those people. I needed to use you to get to them. That's what Yahuwah does. He said, beware, right? And with harlots and adulterers ye shall be joined, and the daughters of the Goyim you shall take to wife, purifying them with an unlawful purification. He said it wasn't even according to the Torah. It was according to what? It was according to your own imaginations and your own thoughts and your own mind, what you thought. I ain't gonna give her no betrothal, no ketubah. I'm just gonna have intercourse and create children with her. That's what they do. Then after 2 years, I'm gonna cast her away because I just don't like her anymore. And then somebody else in Yasharal is going to be with her. And you just add more sin to sin. You just keep doing it over and over again. Make up some type of lie, right? See, the other people don't be knowing that. They be like, man, I don't know if this person is actually telling the truth or they're telling a lie. You don't really know that. That's the way the world is. But we almost finished. And it says, purifying them with an unlawful purification, and your union shall be like that of Sodom and Gomorrah. See, now you literally created Sodom and Gomorrah live and in color. The whole thing is Sodom and Gomorrah. You thinking like it's of righteousness and truth. No, it's Sodom and Gomorrah. That's why Yahuwah is coming to, he said with fire, he going to purify the earth. Because it's Sodom and Gomorrah. And you shall be puffed up because of your priesthood. Because of your whole priesthood, what you got. You ain't going to be Aynu, Sanah, Anua, Shafal. You ain't going to be that. You ain't going to be Aynu. You ain't going to be Shakah. You know what you're going to be doing? And you shall be puffed up because of your priest. You're going to be puffed up because of your knowledge. You'll be Nahamada'a. He said, you puffed up. You got no love in your heart. There ain't no love, or there ain't no love in the land. There is no aha. Because love is patient. Love is kind, does not envy or boast. There ain't no love in it. It ain't no love. There never was. He said, ain't no love. You know what he says? You be puffed up because your priesthood, lifting up yourselves up against men. He said, now you done did it. There's only one person who's going to be lifted up above men. That's Yahushua Mashiach. He said, for this hour I came into the world. In Yuchanah chapter 12. Why? For this hour I came in the world. So the son of Adam be lifted up. I'm going to draw all people to myself. There's only one person who will be lifted up. Not you. Because you only got one ruler. You got so many. No, man, nobody ain't going to be together, right? And he says, and not only so, but also against the commandments of Elohim. Now you done did against the commandments. What are the commandments? Look at all the behaviors that's going on. But guess what it says? For ye shall contemn the Qahalath things and jest and laughter. That's all they do after they do it. They do it to crack a joke. It's a funny to them. Here you go. Here go your Zanah. Here go your adulterous woman. Here you go. Kohanim priest. Plate in the head. Turban wearers. Right? He said, here you go. Then you, ha, ha, ha. Just and laugh. How's it going now? Ha, ha, ha. It was funny. He said it was funny too. He said it was. I had a great time. That's what Yahuwah said. He said, now I'm going to laugh at your calamity when your destruction comes as a whirlwind. Because that's how Yahuwah is. And guess what he says? Therefore the temple which Yahuwah shall choose shall be laid waste through your uncleanness. And he said, put a difference between clean and unclean, Kudash and Kudash. Teach them to be Kudash, right? Teach them. But then you don't got a difference between clean and unclean, because you taking a goyim and creating children, a woman who don't even believe, and then you say, hey, you know what? I'm righteous like the Torah. And then you create children. And then guess what he says? For ye shall condemn the Qahalath things and with jest and laughter. That's all they do, jesters and laughter. But you know, jesters love to make me laugh. Ha, ha, ha. Ah, ha, ha. Ah, ha, ha. And you get what he says. Therefore the temple which the Yahuwah shall choose shall be laid waste by your uncleanness, and ye shall be captives through all goyim. That's how you got away. That's why you ain't there no more. That's exactly why all these things happen again and again and again. Because everything ain't funny. This ain't funny, right? Joining to wedded women, polluting wedded women, virgins and defiling virgins, harlots and adulterers you join to, right? You join the adulterers and harlots, and then the Goyim Gentiles you take to wife, then you purify themselves with an unlawful purification. Then it's like Sodom and Gomorrah, and then you puffed up, you ain't got no love. Then because you're a priesthood, then you lifting up yourselves against men. And then the commandments of Elohim. And then you want to do what you want to do after that. You want to laugh and joke and jest like it's funny. It ain't funny. This ain't no laughing. There ain't nothing funny about it. It ain't nothing funny. People say they think it's funny. Verse 20. Therefore, the temple which you shall choose shall be laid waste because of your waste through your uncleanness. And you shall go captives through all nations. And you shall be an abomination unto them, and you shall receive reproach and everlasting shame from the righteous judgment of Elohim. That's the whole point. You got an everlasting shame, and guess what? It ain't going away because when they go in and get something, it stay for real. It ain't going nowhere. They specialize in it. And all who hate you shall rejoice at your destruction. Why do you think all these people? Yeah, your second chance ain't going nowhere now. Ha, 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 ha. I know. Because he said, I know you hate me. But not even knowing, the person you laughing at, the person you jesting at, you need to look across the room. Right? He said, you need to look across the room. He said, why did Dawid don't do this to the young man? You know why he don't do that? Because Dawid be looking at the young man Eli. So, you just gonna let them just do that? You gonna let them just do that? Get verse 23. And if you were not to receive mercy through Abraham, Yitzhak, and Jacob, our fathers, not one of our seed should be left upon the Aydah. That's the only reason you even still here. Because of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Jacob. And you should be thankful, right? People say, why? Because you should be thankful. Because he said, you're going to find yourself, you're going to see in the kingdom, you'll see Abraham, Yitzhak, Jacob, Yasharah, and you're going to be kicked out. Why? Because this is the whole point. Right? This is the book of Samuel. This is the book of Samuel. He said, what? This is the whole point. This is 2 Samuel chapter 1. 2 Samuel, Shamuel chapter 1 and verse 1. And after the death of Shaul, when Dawid had returned from striking down the Amalekites, Dawid remained 2 days in Ziklag. And on the third day, behold, when Yahushua got up? Okay, third day. And on the third day, behold, a man came from Saul's camp. Man, who you think that was? They got up on the third day. When he got up from the grave, he told the women at the tomb, he said, go tell my disciples to meet me. He said, at evening time, he said, in the city, and I'll be there. After he got up on the third day. So where he went? He says, and on the third day, a man came from Saul's camp. Where do you think Yahushua came from? Let's go read that right quick. Yeah, let's go there. He said, a man came from Saul's camp. What do you mean he came from Saul's camp? This doesn't make any sense. Now, this is the book of Matthew, Luke chapter 23, I think. Yeah, 23. He said, what in the world? I see 24 and 1. Luke chapter 24 and 1. But on the first day of the week, early dawn, they went to the tomb, taking the spices they had prepared. And they found the stone rolled away from the tomb. But when they went in, they did not find the body of Yahushua Mashiach, of Yahushua. While they were perplexed about this, behold, 2 men stood by them in dazzling apparel. And as they were frightened, bowed their faces to the ground. The men said to them, why you seek the living among the dead? And wasn't Saul dead? Was he not dead? He said, he is not here, but he has risen. He said, on the third day, a man came from the camp of Saul. Hallelujah. Right? Remember how he told you while he was still in Galilee, that the son of Adam must be delivered into the hands of sinful men. He said, you're going to be delivered right in the hands of them wicked Levi, Louis. Those wicked priests. He said, you're going to be living right in their hand, right into their hand. And guess what? And be crucified on the third day. Right, man, it was a man from Saul's camp that came into the camp of David. Who do you think that was? Who do you think that was going in the camp of David when Saul was dead, and then the man on the third day, a man came into his camp? Who do you think that was? And they remember his word. Why was he say, man, Saul was evil? Okay. And it says he was. And returning to the tomb, they told all these things to the 11 and to all the rest. Now it was Mary Magdalene, Johanna, and mother James, and the other women with them who told these things to the Shalakim. So look at that. Women, they told it first, right? And guess what happened? But these words seemed to them as idle tales, and they did not believe them. Why? Because one of them was a harlot. Why would they? One of them had some things that were wrong with them. Why would they? He's like, man, I don't know, man. I know your past. I know what you've been doing. I know I know where you come from. I don't know, man. I know what y'all been doing, right? You know how it is. They did not believe them. But Qahalath rose and ran to the tomb, stooping in, looking in with the linen cloths by themselves. And he went home marveling at what had happened, right? Going to the book of Yochanan, chapter 19 and verse 1. Actually, chapter 20 and verse 1. Chapter 20 and verse 1. Now the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene came to the tomb early while it was dark, still dark, and saw the stone that had been taken away from the tomb. So she ran and went to Simon, Qahalath, and the other disciples. It says, the one whom Yahushua loved, and said to them, they have taken the master from the tomb. He said, why are you saying this? Right. Let's go to Matthew chapter 28, verse 1. Now after Shabbat, toward the dawn of the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene and Mary went to see the tomb. And behold, there was a great earthquake. The Malach Yahuwah descended from Shamayim and came and rolled back the stone and sat upon it. Right, going over to verse 6. He says, verse 5. But the Malach said to the woman, do not be afraid, for I know that you seek Yahushua who was crucified. He is not here. He is risen on the third day. And as he said, come see where the place lay. Then go quickly to tell his disciples that he is risen from the dead. And behold, he is going before you to Galilee. There you will see him. See, I told you, right? All that took place, right? So why is this important? Right, going back to 1 Samuel. Going back to 1 Samuel chapter 1 and 2 Samuel chapter 1 and verse 1. After the death of Saul, when David had returned from striking down the Amalekites, David remained 2 days in Ziklag, and on the third day, behold, a man came from Saul's camp with his clothes torn and dirt on his head. Man, he came on the third day. He had his clothes torn and dirt on his head. What was he doing? And when he came to David, he fell to the ground and paid homage. You know what the women did at the tomb on the third day? And guess what they did? Because they saw the Malachi, and they felt like dead people to the ground and worship. He fell to the ground and paid homage, and David said to him, where do you come from? Why are you seeking the living among the dead? Where you come from? And he said to him, I have escaped from the camp of Yasharal. Man, you see, I'm trying to tell you. He said, I escaped from the camp of Yasharal. That's what's going to happen to you when you take on Yahushua Mashiach. When you get immersed in his name, immersed into his death and rise, it's like you rise on the third day. Man, you're going to have to escape from the camp of Yasharal because you already know what they're going to do to you. They hate you. But guess what happens? And David said to him, how did it go? Tell me. And he answered, the people fled from the battle. Man, you flee, man. And also many people have fallen and are dead. You know, on the third day, what happened? Yahushua rose. But he said, all the people are dead. And Saul and his son, Jonathan, are also dead. Everybody did. Even Jonathan, David's right-hand man, the person he swore the covenant to. Because one person get everybody killed. And it says, and then David said to the young man, who told him? How do you know that Saul and Jonathan are dead? And the young man who told him said, by chance I happened to be on Mount Gilboa. And there was Shaul leaning on his spear. And behold, the chariots and the horsemen were close upon him. And when he looked behind him, he saw him and called me. And I answered, here am I. And he said to me, who are you? And I answered him, I am an Amalekite. And he said to me, stand beside me and kill me. Kill me, please. For anguish has seized me. I'm in pain. And yet my life still lingers. I'm in pain. So I stood beside him and killed him. You did what? So you stood beside him and you did what? And you did what? You killed. You stood beside him and you did what? You killed him. What you do that for? Let me show you. Let me show you how foolish people are. Let me show you how foolish people are. Let me show you. Right? Right, so this is the book of Yochanan, chapter 19. Actually, go to Luke. Let's go to Luke 23. Luke 23 and 39. Luke 23, 39. Luke 23 and 39. One of the criminals who were hanged railed at him, saying, are you not the Messiah? Save yourself and us. But the other rebuked him, saying, do you not fear Elohim? He said, ain't you scared? He said, one of the criminals who were hanged railed at him, saying, are you not Messiah? Save yourself and us. But you see, Saul said, man, I'm in anguish and pain. Kill me. Kill me. But he railed at him. You know, the railing is like a sword and a javelin. And guess what he said? Do you not fear Elohim, since you are under the same sentence of condemnation? You condemned. We just read earlier today. You are condemned. You are condemned. Cast the gilul, the idol, the log out your own eye. You are condemned. And guess what he said? And we indeed justly, for we are receiving the due reward for our deeds. That's what we're getting punished. That's what you get. But this man has done nothing wrong. Can you say that? Can you say that? And he said, Yahushua, remember me when you come into your kingdom. And he said to him, truly I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise. Why? Because he ain't railed at him. He ain't come at him like that. He said, don't you fear Elohim? Because if you did, you wouldn't do certain things. You wouldn't do certain things. And let me show you what you won't do. Because that's the whole point. Going back to Samuel. Going back to Samuel, right? Right, going back to 2 Samuel. My phone. Yeah, let me hold on. Yeah, going back to 2 Samuel. 2 Samuel chapter 1. 2 Samuel chapter 1 and verse 2 Samuel chapter 1 verse 5. Then David said to the young man, who told him? How you know that Saul and his son Jonathan are dead? And the young man who told him said, by chance, I happened to be at Mount Gilboa. And there was Saul leaning on his spear, man. He was on the last leg. And behold, the chariots and the horsemen were close upon him. He like, man, they had him surrounded. Man, he was on his spear, man. He was on the last little bit. And you know what you did? And when he looked upon him, he saw me, and he came to me, and I answered, here am I. He said to me, who are you? And I answered, I am an Amalekite. And he said to me, stand beside me and kill me. He's on his last leg. For pain has seized me, and yet my life still lingers. So I stood beside him and killed him. Why you hitting that man on the cross so tightly? He railed at him. He said, you be the Mashiach, save you and us. But the other man said, do you not fear Elohim? And guess what he said? So, because I was sure that he could not live after he had fallen, I was sure that he wasn't going to rise on the third day. I was sure he wasn't going to get back up. I was sure of it. I thought he was never going to rise again. He said, that's why I did it to him. That's what people do in your life. They see you on your last little bit. They see you in your last leg. They see you leaning on your spear. They be saying all these things. He'd be like, man, kill me, man. He started cursing his life. Don't even want to live anymore. And you know what you do? You kill him. And then you be like, I was sure he wasn't going to get back up after that. I was sure he wasn't going to rise back up again. I was sure after this blow, after this spying, after this slander, after this hatred, after this 5 years of slander and gossip and lying, after these rumors and narratives, he said, after all that, I was sure he wasn't going to get back up. But guess what he did? So I stood beside him and killed him because I was sure he could not live after he had fallen. I was sure of it. And I took the crown that was on his head. That's the only reason you do it. Because you want to take the crown. That's the only reason you did it. It wasn't a physical crown. He had the crown Chdsh to Yahuwah with the plate. But there ain't got to be no physical crown. And guess what? And the armlet that was on him, he said he took it on his arm because of covetousness. You took it from him, right? And I brought them here to my master, and you brought it to me. And guess what happens after that? Then Dawid took hold of his clothes and tore them, and he tore his clothes. You know why? He said, you know why he did that? And so did all the men who were with him. That's what people need to do. All the men with you and everybody with you. You know what? This is what you need to do. And they mourned and wept and fasted until evening for Saul and for Jonathan, his son, and for the people of Yahuwah and for the house of Yasharal, because they had fallen by the sword. How art thou fallen, O Haliel? Like Esau. You say you're in the clefts of the rocks. Who gonna bring you down? I know. You watched your brother Yaakov be taken. I know. And guess what? And for the house of Yasharal, because they have fallen by the sword. And Dawid said to the young man who told him, where do you come from? Because you know why? Because people don't care. You all don't even care. He said, you don't care. And he answered, I am the son of a sojourner and Amalekite. And Dawid said to him, how is it that you were not afraid to put your hand to destroy Yahuwah's anointed? How? That you were not afraid to take your yard and destroy Yahuwah's anointed. How is it? How is it that you weren't afraid? Then Dawid called one of the young men. He said, you just going to let them just do that? Young man. And said, go execute him. And he struck him down that he died. And Dawid said to him, your blood be upon your own head. For your own mouth have testified against you, saying, I have killed Yahuwah's anointed. How you kill somebody? How do you kill Yahuwah's anointed? Because they'll stop. If you keep doing as much as you can, you're only trying to get them to stop doing what they're doing. And the only reason you want them to stop is because you're trying to kill Yahuwah's anointed, because you can't do nothing when you're dead. You can't speak when you're dead. You can't give no wisdom when you're dead. You can't sing when you're dead. So if you kill Yahuwah's anointed, then they ain't gonna. I was sure he won't get back up. I was sure of it. I was sure of it when I said it. I was sure he wasn't gonna get back up. But Yahusha died. He rose again on the third day. And that's the whole point, right? Going to the book of, and he rose the third day too. And he got back up. Going to the book of First Corinthians. He said he did it again, right? Again. Right, go to the book of Colossians. Book of Colossians, chapter 2 and verse 13. Chapter 2, verse 13. And you who were dead in your trespasses, man, I was sure he won't get back up. I was sure of it. And you who were dead in your trespasses and the uncircumcision in your flesh, Elohim made you alive with him. I was sure of it, man. I was sure of it that he wasn't gonna get back up. I was sure when I killed him that he wasn't gonna get back up. I was sure of it. I was so, man, when I cast him out, I was sure of it. When I said those things about when I did all these things that long, I was sure of it that he wasn't gonna be able to endure it. Having forgiven us all our trespasses. I was sure he wasn't gonna get back up though. I know when you did it, I know you thought he said, I know you thought I wasn't gonna get back up. I know you did. He said, I knew it by canceling the record of debt. He said, I know you thought I wasn't. He said, they know you thought I wasn't gonna get back up, huh? That stood against us with a legal demand. This he set aside, nailing it to the cross. I know you said, man, you thought he said they thought we were gonna get back up. That's what they thought. The righteous man falls 7 times. And he get back up 8. Circumcised. He disarmed the rulers and authorities and put them to open shame. Yeah, you rulers and authorities. Yeah, I know. He put you to an open shame right now. You rulers and authorities. He said he put you to an open shame right now. That's what he just did. By triumphing over them in him. That he's already done it. He already won. He already won. You just don't know. Because he or she that delivered me over to you has the greatest sin. They got the greatest sin. People don't even know it. Verse 16. Therefore let no one pass judgment on you in question of food or in drink. Why? Because you ain't eating no sin offering. I ain't eating no sin and iniquity. He said, what you eat sin and iniquity for? You love that stuff, don't you? And with regard of a new moon or a festival or a Qahalath or a Shabbat. Why? Because there are many types of Shabbats now. People got many different times. These are a shadow of things to come. Why? Because these things are my heritage. What you keeping Shabbat? What are you doing that for? What are you doing to Qahalath? Your sins ain't forgiven. Yeah, I know. He said, y'all put you to an open shame. Because you thought my lamp don't went out. He said the lamp don't went out. He's like, man, he ain't got no more oil. Sure. He said, sure. Okay. He said, whatever you want to believe. His lamp getting ready to go out. You know how to say, he ain't got no light. Oil. I ain't ish lapid. Right. Guess what he said? Guess what he said? In question of food or drink or regarded of a Tasha'y and a new moon or Shabbat. These are a shadow of things to come, but the substance belongs to Mashiach. Let no one disqualify you in doing what? Insisting of ancestism and worshiping of Malachim. That's the only reason they want you to worship. They worship them. He said, I ain't worshiping no. He said, I ain't worshiping no human being, no man. And you know what he said? No woman, no goddess. Get what he said? Going on in detail about revisions, right? I had a dream and a vision. I had a dream and a vision, right? And this is how it was, and this is how it went. He said, if you man got a dream, let him tell a dream. You got a vision, tell a vision. But he said, if you got the bar, let him speak it faithfully, right? He said, do it. Going about in detail about visions, puffed up with reason. Why? Because they got, they puffed up because of their priesthood. Just like the testament of Levi. They puffed up because of their priesthood. Look at all the stuff they were doing. They puffed up. They puffed up. Going about in detail about visions, puffed up without reason by his sensuous mind. He said, man, Yahuwah see you. He see you. I ain't Ish Lapi. He see you. He said, no, he can't. Yeah, he can see you. And not holding fast to the head, the Rosh. Because you need to get to the Rosh, right? You got Kuf, Rosh, yeah. To the head, from whom the whole body, because you think you're a whole body now. You don't lift up your head. He said, you mean you don't sinning, speaking against your brother, you slander your own mother's son. You slander Yahushua Mashiach. You gossiping, you slander, you lied on Yahushua Mashiach. He said, you created the narratives. And get what he said. Whom the whole body nourished and knit together through its joints and ligaments grows with a growth that is from Elohim. So the growth that you growing, it ain't from Elohim. And guess what? If with Mashiach you died to the elemental spirits of the world, why, as if you were living, still alive in the world, do you submit to regulations? What you doing is submitting to it. Do not handle. Do I eat the flesh of bulls and goats? Do not taste. Do I eat sin and iniquity? Do not touch. Neither shall you touch it, lest you die. Do I eat sin and iniquity? Do I eat the flesh of bulls and goats? Do I swallow up iniquity and sin and then spew it out and slander and gossip again? That's why he said, man, confess your sins one to another that you may be healed. He said, you confess your sins today, man, it's ammunition. Ain't no but ammunition for slandering, gossip, and lying, and creating narratives and sin and iniquity. He said they spread it all about. Just like the harlot with the false Levite, and he had all that stuff in his heart, and he cut her up into pieces and threw her outside, and cut her and sent throughout all Yasharal. That's what he said. That's what that false priest do. Start the whole thing. That female priestess, or that male priest. That's what they did. That's what they do. They use it for ammunition to start a war. And Yahuwah said to Yeremiah, he said, I'm ready. He told Yeremiah, he said, I'm ready to fight. He said, and you ain't gonna prevail either. And get what he said, do not handle, do not taste, do not touch, referring to the things that all perish as they are used, according to human precepts and teachings. These, humans, human teachings. I'm speaking in a human way. These have indeed an appearance of wisdom. They look like Hakmah wisdom and knowledge, understand. They look like Kakam. They look like the wisdom that don't pass away when everything else gets taken. They looks like Hakmah wisdom and knowledge, understand. In promoting self-made religion and asceticism and severity of body, but they also have no value in stopping the indulgence of the flesh, the works of the flesh. It don't. It has nothing to do with it, right? So this is the Nazarene Acts of the Apostle, chapter 5, advantage of knowledge. So we must above all things hasten to the knowledge of the truth. He said, you got to move. that as with a light kindleth thereat, because your menorah is lit, because your lamp ain't go out, we may be able to dispel the darkness of errors, because your lamp, the people on lamp don't went out. Their lamp has went out. For ignorance, as we have said, is a great evil, because the lamp don't went out. But because it has no substance, it is easily dispelled by those who are earnest. For ignorance is nothing else than not knowing what is good for us. Once know, then ignorance perishes, it leaves. Therefore, the knowledge of the truth ought to be eagerly sought after. Why? And no one can confer it except the Nabi Amar. For this is the gate to life, and those who enter in the road of good works to the city of salvation. Because it's good works. Right? It's good works. Right? Going to the book of Matthew chapter 23 and verse 25. Woe to you, scribes, Pharisees, and hypocrites, for you clean the outside of the plate, the cup and the plate, but inside they are full of greed and self-indulgence. You blind Pharisee, first clean the inside of the cup and the plate, then the outside also may be clean. Why? Woe to you, scribes, Pharisees, and hypocrites, for you are like whitewashed tombs, right? Which outwardly appear beautiful. Man, you look good. Chdsh to Yahuwah. Right? That's what they say. Which outwardly appear beautiful. It look like wisdom. But within are full of dead people's bones and all uncleanness. We read that in the book of Levi. Right? But guess what he said? Levi. So you also outwardly appear righteous to others. You look good. But within you are full of hypocrisy and lawlessness. You look good though. You look real good. Right? And that's the whole point. They look good. Mostly Proverbs 15 through 18. All the days that the afflicted are evil. It is. But a cheerful heart has a continual feast. Better is a little with the fear of Yahuwah than great treasures and trouble with it. Amen. It's better to have little with the fear of Yahuwah than all them treasures. All that money. Better is a dinner of herbs where love is, because there ain't no love in the land. It ain't no aha. There ain't no love. Better is a dinner of herbs where love is than a fatted ox and hatred with it. Than a what? Than a fatted ox. Mishore. A boots. What is this? Sane. Because you don't want no hatred. Because he said you want Ta'ub, Aruka, Yirak, Ahaba, Shin. Why? Because you want a dinner of herbs with a loving name. Because you know what happens with that? Because love covers a multitude of sins. But we ain't no ahab. All you're going to find is hatred. You ain't going to find nothing else. Verse 18, a hot-tempered man stirs up strife. Why? He said you stirring up strife. Why? Because you don't have no self-control over your tongue. As you read in the book of Turah. Because wine and women make men fall away. And he that joins to harlots will come to ruin. But that's what they did. And it says, a hot-tempered man stirs up strife, but he who is slow to anger quiets contention. Why? Because now you quiet it. Right? Better is a dinner herb. That word is aruka, right? This means allowance, right? It means ration. It better have a little bit of food with a ration than to have a big old aruka of oxes and animals and all that, and there's a bunch of hatred with it. It's a bunch of hatred. A bunch of slander, gossip, lying, robberies, dissension, adultery, fornication, fits of anger, crude, evil, joking, jesting like Levites, who fall away from the priesthood, lying, right? Sensuality, all types of things. Conceitedness, pride, arrogance, all that's in there. And then when you get in there, you're going to take on their behaviors, right? Psalms 58 10 through 12. Steadfast love or Tasha'y and faithfulness, amath. Steadfast love or Tasha'y and amath meet. Pagash. Righteousness, Sadiq and Shalom kiss each other. Faithfulness springs up from the ground, and righteousness looks down from the sky. Right? That's the only way he's going to spring up from the ground and look down, and Yahuwah going to look down at your righteous deeds. Because you got to have kindness, you got to have truth, you got to have righteousness, and you got to have shalom. If you ain't got these things, he say, don't come looking for me to do anything to spring up from your ground, and you only expect me to look down from the sky at you. Yes, Yahuwah will give what is good, and our land will yield increase. Why? Because you have these traits inside in the soil. But if you ain't got it, verse 10, steadfast love and faithfulness meet, or kindness and truth. That word for meet is pagash. It means to join together, to meet each other, to meet together, to encounter, to concur, to come into contact. That's what happens. That's what happens, right? That word for kiss is to put together. It means it's just nashak. It means to touch gently. Touch gently, right? Because that's the whole point of it, right? This Ode to Solomon 1 through 16. My heart was pruned and its flower appeared, and Khan sprang up in it and produced fruits to Yahuwah. For the Most High circumcised me by his Qahalath Ruach. Because you try to satisfy a man, they ain't never going to be satisfied. They ain't going to be satisfied with flesh, a bull of sin and iniquity. They're not going to be satisfied, even knowing your sin and iniquity. They're not going to be satisfied with it. They ain't going to leave nothing to them one. They're going to eat everything. Right? But it says, the Most High circumcised me by his Qahalath Ruach. Then he uncovered my inward being toward him, and filled me with his aha. And his circumcision became my salvation. And I ran in the way of his shalom, in the way of truth. From the beginning unto the end, I received his knowledge. He said, I received it. And I was established upon a rock of truth where he has sent me. And speaking waters touched my lips. It touched my mouth. From the springs of Yahuwah generously. And my intoxication was not with ignorance, but I abandoned vanity. I turned toward the Most High, my Elohim, and I was enriched by his favors. And I abandoned folly, and cast upon the earth and stripped it off and cast it from me. He said, I cast that stuff from me. What do you think that is? When you tell your brother his fault, when you tell the things that they do, guess what happens? You casting it from you. And it's in their court to repent. And then they don't repent. You already did. They're not going to repent though. That's the whole point of it. And who make him not repent? And he said, I turned to the Most High, my Elohim, and he enriched me by his favors. And I abandoned folly and cast it upon the earth and stripped it off and cast it from me. And Yahuwah renewed me with his garment and possessed me by his light. And from above he gave me immortal rest. And I became like the land which blossoms and rejoices in its fruit. And Yahuwah is like the sun. He is what? He like the Shamash. And upon the face of the land, my eyes were enlightened and my face received the dew. And my breath was refreshed by the pleasant fragrance of Yahuwah. And he took me on his paradise, to his paradise, wherein is the wealth of Yahuwah's pleasures, right? That's the whole point. Sirach 3, 17 to 23. My son, go on thy business in Aydah, in meekness. Why? So shall thou be beloved of him that is approved. The greater thou art, the more humble thyself. He said, you humble yourself even more. And thou shalt find favor before Yahuwah. Many are in high places of renown. I mean, there's a lot of people in renown. Man, Qahalath to Yahuwah with the plate in their heads, and all these clothes and garments, and people got all these things and feet, and they look good, right? Got way more, he said, way more than what one man has, but yet they look good. Many are in high places of renown, but mysteries are revealed unto the meek, the Aydah. For the power of Yahuwah is great, and honor with the lowly. He said, not with the lowly that don't repent. Right? And trying to create this, this world in people's minds to try to trap them into a world in their mind when they're not in a certain state of mind. But guess what it is? For the power of Yahuwah is great, armed with the lowly. Seek not out things that are too hard for thee, neither search for things that are above thy strength. He said, I'm not even looking for that. He said, I'm not. He said, why? Because you know how it is. He said, what blocks the way? Let me show you. Let me show you. Let me show you. Right. Let me show you. Let me show you. And let me show you. This is the book of yeah. What was that thing? Is it Matthew? Yeah, here we go. Here we go. This is the book of 2 Samuel, or say 2 Samuel, chapter 12, and verse 1. 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 1. 2 Samuel chapter 12 and verse 1. Actually 13 and 1. 2 Samuel 13 and 1. And it says, now Absalom, David's son, had a beautiful sister, whose name was Tamar. And after a time, Amnon, David's son, loved her. He said, when somebody else, he said, David's son, he loved her. You know what happens? This is what people do because of a woman. And Amnon was so tormented that he made himself ill before his sister Tamar, for she was a virgin. And it seemed impossible to Amnon to do anything to her. But Amnon had a friend whose name was Yonadab, the son of Shimei, David's brother. And Yonadab was very crafty. Yeah, he real good. He real crafty. And he said to him, O son of the king, why are you haggard morning after morning? Will you not tell me? Amnon said to him, I love Tamar, my brother Absalom's sister. Yonadab said to him, lie down on your bed and pretend to be ill, and when your father comes to see you, say to him, let my sister Tamar come and give me bread to eat, and prepare the food in my sight, that I may see it and eat from her hand. So Amnon lay down and pretended to be ill. And guess what? And when the king came to see him, Amnon said to the king, please let my sister Tamar come and make a couple of cakes in my sight, that I might eat it from her hand. See, these are things that people do because they think Yahusha don't see them. And when they go to the Malak, the king, you know what they say? He said, you pretend. You know what he says? He said, I see you. I see who you are. He said, I know who you are. Right? He said, I know who you are. Right? You know how you know? Right? This is the book of Enoch. This is the book of Enoch. This is the book of Hanuk. Enoch. This is the book of Enoch, chapter 92. Actually, book of Enoch, chapter, we're going to go to 80, I think it's 85. The book of Enoch. I think it's 82. Book of Hanuk, book of Enoch, 82. Yeah, 82 and 9. It says, the potent division of thy dreams respecting every secret sin of the earth. Its substance shall sink into the abyss, and a great destruction takes place. Right, going over to verse 8. And I related to him the whole vision, right? Because This ain't the type of vision that we were reading in the book of Colossians, right? And I related him the vision which I had seen. And he said to me, confirmed is that which thou hast seen, my son. He said, confirm it. How you going to confirm it? Let's see. And the potent vision of thy dream respecting every secret sin of the earth. Its substance shall sink into the abyss, and a great destruction takes place. Now, my son, rise up and beseech Yahuwah of Kabod, for thou art faithful, that a remnant may be left upon the earth, and that he would not wholly destroy it. My son, all this calamity upon the earth comes down from Shamayim. Where? Upon the Aydah shall there be great destruction. Then I arose and prayed and entreated and wrote down my prayer for the generations of the world, explaining everything to my son Methuselah. And when I went out below and looking up to Shamayim, behold, the sun proceeding from the east, and the moon descending from the west. A few stars, scattered stars, and everything which Elohim had known from the beginning. I barak Yahuwah of judgment and magnify him, because he has sent forth the sun from the chambers of the east, that ascending and rising in the face of Shamayim, it might spring up and pursue the path which it has pointed out to it. It did what? The Shamash pointed out to the path So you look at the 364-day cycle, you look at the Shamash on 182 thrones. On 182 thrones, moving toward the longest night. And 182 thrones, moving toward the longest day. Knowing, moving in this procession and the understanding of Yahushua Mashiach, he said, we live and have our being. And knowing that in this light, in this aura, in this frequency of understanding, in the light of Yahushua Mashiach, he said, in Yahuwah is light, and in him is no darkness at all. Because the lamp, the ore, the menorah on the inside is still lit in the innermost parts of one's inward man. And though men may perceive that, he said, the oil may not be there anymore, but yet in themselves, they look at themselves as one that is of light. But in actuality, one is really of darkness. And just like anything in life, people always look for things that may make themselves look more than somebody else. But at the same time, we look at ourselves and we look at our inward man, we look at our inward being, and we understand that through Yahushua Mashiach, we live and have our being. And not living according to the commandments of men. He said in the perceptions of men, but according to the righteous ruling, the righteousness of truth. Right? And that's the whole point of it. Right? This is Bereshit Genesis chapter 3. Bereshit Genesis chapter 3 and verse 8. And they heard the sound of Yahuwah walking in the Gan in the cool of the day. Right, because early in the morning sacrifice, right? They heard him. And the man and his Isha hid themselves in the presence of Elohim among the trees of the Gan. Why? Because people will pursue you because they don't want anything. When people make deals, when you cut deals on the left and the right, and you think somebody boxed in, Yahuwah say, the person's not boxed in like you think. You think that. And guess what it is? In the presence of Yahuwah, Elohim among the trees, but the Yahuwah called to the man and said to him, where are you? He said, where are you? When you look at it, when you say, and you know what they say? 3 times a year shall you appear, but yet you in the house and you about 5 minutes away and you can't even show up to the feast, and you on YouTube trying to condemn somebody else. Where are you? For the very same sins, for the very sin that he said you trying to condemn somebody else and you sitting there in your house and you ain't even show up yourself. He said, cast the log at your own eye. But let's see what happened. And he said, he hid themselves among the presence of Yahuwah among the trees of the Gan. But Yahuwah Elohim called to Adam and said to him, where are you? And he said, I heard the sound of you in the Gan, and I was afraid. Behold, I was naked and I hid myself. And he said, who told you that you were naked? Man, who told you about this information? Have you eaten from the tree which I commanded you not to eat? And you know what he said? The man said, the woman that you gave me, she gave me from the tree and I ate. And you know the sad part about it? Who convinced her? Who used a woman to get to Adam? Who used a woman to get to Adam? Verse 3. Now the serpent was more crafty than any other beast of the field that Yahuwah Elohim had made. Who used a woman to get to Adam? The Nakash. Because the Nakash always used a woman to get to you. Who suggested the woman to you? Yahuwah did. This is Adam. But he said no other man. He said a woman never was born the way Yahuwah was born. So how did the woman that you would suggest to get here? Through a woman? Because all that were born of woman, sin came in the world from a woman. And we all died. Because from a woman, we died. We come out from a woman and we're born into sin through a woman. Because she the one brought sin here. And we all come out from woman. The only way Adam was going to be destroyed, he had to use a woman. That's the only way you're going to destroy him. Because he said the one you deliver me over to you has the greatest sin. Why? Because that's the whole point of it. Now the serpent was more crafty than any other beast of the field that Yahuwah had made. And he said to the woman, did Elohim actually say that you should not eat of the tree of the garden? Why? Because they always say Nakash always uses a woman. How you think Nakash convinces a woman to continue on something for 10 years, 5 years, 5 years, and they use the woman to do it? How do you think Nakash does that? Because Nakash always trying to find a way into your life. Because they got to get to the woman so they can get to you. To put fear in you. To put hatred in you. To put doubt in you. That's what Nakash does. And he real crafty at it. He real crafty. Let me show you how crafty the Nakash is. Did Elohim actually say you should not eat of the tree of the garden? And the woman said to the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but Elohim said you should not eat of it, the fruit of the tree, of the midst of the garden, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. Same thing that goes for you. He said, why? Because the Nakash got her to do it. Because women always get swayed by a man's voice. Especially when you really want something. When you really want something, a woman always gets swayed by a man's voice when you really want something. That's how they get you. That's how they get you. That's how they get you to keep doing things that you should not do. Well, how you think the Levites ended up getting? He said, man, they were joined to. He said, wedded women defile, virgins defile, wedded women they polluted. Right? They joined themselves to harlots, eating the sacrifices with harlots. Why? How you think they got it like that? Through their words and their voice. He said, and they were joined to harlots and made men come to ruin. That's what they do. They persuade you to do things with their voice. Because that's all they do. And they're always going to use a woman. How is he going to get you? But he said, we shall surely die. But Elohim knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be open and you will be like Elohim, knowing good and evil. He said, you're going to know good and evil. You're going to know, after you eat from this tree, you're going to know I'm the Nakash. That's what Nakash said. That's why Nakash don't want you to eat this, what I'm saying. Because he don't want you to know that he the Nakash. That's why. Because as soon as you eat from it, you're going to know. He be like, man. He said, that man that's been talking, he said he a Nakash, exactly. You should know the difference between good and evil. So when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and it was a delight to the eyes, and that the tree was desired to make one wise. Oh, you want your lamp put? Oh, you're supposed to have your lamp burning, right? You're supposed to keep your lamp burning, right? Go to the ones who sell. Go to the people go to the one who sells. There won't be enough for us and for you, because Kua was a virgin. But sometimes you can eat from the wrong get the wrong oil. And the same thing when it comes to something you desire and you want. Because that very same Nakash will use you to get to Adam, because he can't come face to Adam face to face. So he gotta use a woman to do it. He ain't gonna face you face to face. He always gotta sway his way in through a woman and to try to get to you. That's the only reason he do it. Because he ain't going to look at you face to face. Because he's afraid. So when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and it was the light to the eyes, and that the tree was the desire to make one wise, she took of the fruit and ate, and she gave it to her husband who was with her, and he ate. Why? Because that's the whole point, because she was already drunk to him. And that's the whole point of getting to a man like Adam. You got to use her. You got to use her. That's what y'all do. Nakash has always been doing this. He's been doing this from the beginning. The crafty beings have always been doing this. And Yahuwah going to judge you. And let me show you how you're going to judge you. Then both of their eyes were open, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves loincloths. And they heard the sound of Yahuwah Elohim walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and the man and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yahuwah Elohim among the trees. But Yahuwah called to the man and said to him, "Where are you?" And he said, "I heard the sound of you in the garden, and I was afraid." He said, "Man, you was afraid for what?" "Because I was naked and I hid myself." He said, "You hid yourself. What did you hid yourself for?" He said, "Who told you that you were naked? Who told you that? Have you eaten from the tree which I commanded you not to eat?" The man said, "The woman whom you gave me be with me. She gave me from the fruit of the tree and I ate." No, that when you go back. Who gave him the fruit of the tree? Who gave her the fruit of the tree? Who gave her those things to give to Adam, to give him to die? See, when you love a man so much, then Nakash will use you to kill Adam. Why? Because he loves you. Because that's how Yahuwah made him. So being that Adam loved the woman, and the woman saw something she really wanted, Nakash used that because he needed to kill Adam, because he had jealousy and envy for Adam. The same way men have jealousy and envy for other men, and they use women to get to them because they are jealous and envious of him. And they will use you as their weapon to destroy you and your kingdom. Because that's what they do. And that's how it's always going to be until Yahushua get back here. So be on guard. And the woman, he said, "The woman you gave me, she gave me the fruit of the tree and I ate." Then Yahuwah, he said to the woman, "What is this that you have done?" And the woman said, "The serpent deceived me and I ate." No, the serpent was just jealous and envious of Adam. He wanted to take him down. So he used that woman, and he knew, if I can keep that connection with that woman with you, as long as that connection was there, even a little bit, even if it was 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 15 years ago, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, if I can use that, that's all he wanted to do. And guess what? And that's what they do. I liken you to children in the marketplace, like people in high school. Right? You've been to high school. It's just like high school. I popped on you. You ain't even dance. I cried. You ain't even cry. But wisdom is justified in her children because you can't discern between good and evil. Cool. What is it that you have done? Right? The woman said, the serpent deceived me, and Yahuwah said to the serpent, because you have done this, Nakash, Yahuwah can see you, your secrets. He can see you. Because the wicked hate the light, neither come to the light, that their deeds may be exposed. Why? Because the light travels in the shamash, travels out of the portal and directs your way to the path. I see you, Nakash. I see you. I see you, Nakash. And it says, and Yahuwah said to the serpent, because you have done this, cursed are you above all livestock, and upon all beasts of the field. On your belly you shall go, and dust you shall eat all the days of your life. That's why you meek and lowly. That's why you Aynu shall fall. That's why you are the dust. You are the earth. You are the earth. You are the earth. You ain't born from above, and you're not Mashiach. You're not born from the man from Shamayim. You are of the earth. You are human. And when you become born from above, like the man in the Shamayims, guess what? Here come Nakash, to send an Isha or a woman to take you down, to try to bring you down. But guess what Yahushua said? I'm doing a great work. I can't come down. Why should the work cease? Because that's what you want you want him to die. That's what you want. You want him to stop. You want him to die. Like Saul. He said, you weren't afraid to touch you who was anointed? He said, you weren't afraid. But guess what it said? Because you have done this, cursed are you above all livestock, and above all beasts of the field, and on your belly you shall go, and dust thou art, and dust. He says, and dust you shall eat all the days of your life. I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and her offspring, and he shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. All right, going back to Sirach 3:21. Seek not out things that are too hard for thee. Isn't that what Yahuwah just did? Because the Nakash gonna get you. He can come in human form, and he can come in Ruach form. It don't matter. All he got to do is see it's something you want, and he'll use that to try to destroy the person he hates. Because the things you want, usually it's gonna be a man. The things that you want is the very things that he gonna use to destroy that person that you desire, or that wisdom you desire, or that Isha that you desire. He'll use you to destroy her, because she won't be with him, or vice versa. And guess what? Seek not out things too hard for thee, neither search for things that are above thy strength. But what is commanded thee, think thereupon with reverence. For it is not evil for thee to see with thine eyes the things that are done in secret. It ain't evil for you. Be not curious in unnecessary matters, for more things are showed unto thee than men and women and children understand. He said, how do you know more things are showed unto you than men and women and children understand? Because this is the whole point. How do you know? How do you know more things are shown unto you than men and women understand? Because that's the whole point. This is how you know. This is Psalms 119, 197. Psalms 119, 97. Oh, how I love your Torah. It is my meditation all the day. Your commandment makes me wiser than my enemies. See, I know who my enemies are. He said, make me more calm. My lamp ain't going out. Make me wiser than my enemies, them foolish people whose lamp get ready to go out. He made me wiser than you. Why? For it is ever with me. I know it ain't going nowhere. He said, as long as I live on this earth. He said, I know where I live at. Verse 99, I have more understanding than all my teachers, for more things are shown unto thee than men understand. You know why he got more understanding than all his teachers? Because wine and women make men's understanding fall away. And he that is joined to harlots will come to ruin. And he don't got control of his tongue. He said, you have a lot of strife. But if you could, that's how I know. I have more understanding than all my teachers, for your testimonies are my meditation. But the testimony of Yahushua is the Ruach of Naba, Ruach of prophecy. I understand more than the aged, because aged men ain't always wise. It is the Ruach that make them understand, the Neshama, as Aydah wrote. For I keep your precepts. He that ordered his steps rightly, Yahuwah will show him the salvation of Yahuwah. So what you think I'm doing? You say, what do you think he's doing? How does he know all of this? There's nothing. He can't do any of these things unless Elohim be with him or in him in the innermost parts of his body. For I keep your precepts. I hold back my feet from every evil way. And what he said, they're going to make your lamp go out. In the Testament of Louis. He said, if you keep yourself from every evil way, wisdom, Hakmah, will not depart from you. Right? For I kept your precepts. I hold back my feet from every evil way in order to keep your word. That's the only way you're going to keep it. You can't keep your word. You're going to hold back your feet from every evil way. There's no way in the world you can keep your words to bar. That's everything. I do not turn aside from your rules, for you have taught me. I have more. He said he had more understanding than all my teachers, because he said we have one teacher. You are all brothers. But when you start getting taught by these other people, guess what happened? When you started listening, when Yahushua said you only got one teacher. He said that's why you got more understanding than all your teachers. Because he said if your righteousness don't exceed the scribes and the Pharisees, you will not enter the Malkut. Right? How sweet are your words to my taste, sweeter than the honey to my mouth. Through your precepts I get understanding. Therefore I hate every false way. Chapter 105, let's say noon 105. Your word, which means life, is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path, just like the sun we just read in Enoch that was traveling, and it will lighten the way to the path, the bar. I have sworn an oath and confirmed it, and I kept your righteous rules. I am severely afflicted. Give me life, O Yahuwah, according to your debar. Accept my free will offering of praise, O Yahuwah, and teach me your rules. I hold my life in my hand continually, but I do not forget your Torah. The wicked have laid a snare for me. The wicked have laid a snare for me, but I do not stray from your precepts. Your testimony are my heritage forever, for they are the joy of my heart. I incline my heart to perform your statutes forever, to the end. For he that endureth to the end shall be saved. Not till tomorrow night, or when the sun goes down today, or even at noontime, like right now, when everybody getting to pray. For today is the day of freedom. Today is the day of warning. Today is the day that Yahuwah has given to us as a gift. And one should acknowledge him as the one, even as we reach the noontime hour, as the one who gives life to all people and all flesh, and the one who takes away. The one who allows one to love and allow kindness and truth to meet. The one who allows righteousness and shalom to kiss each other. Yahuwah Elohim. So this Yom, as we move forward in meekness. For the meek shall inherit the earth. The meek shall inherit the earth.